Most people will hopefully be able to recognize what this question is testing. This is very clearly a pronoun question. We have singular and plural pronouns in the answer choices, and so we need to find what these pronouns refer to so we can match it up, right? So very obviously, choice A, they, is a plural pronoun. Choice B, it, is singular. This is singular. These changes, I guess, is plural. I mean, they just go ahead and say the word, but it's very clear we have a division between the choices here, singular and plural. So what we need to go through is kind of find it and say, okay, well, what are we talking about? So if we kind of look very close to where the pronoun is, we might see the word currents. Well, that's plural, so that's pretty good. And it's a reasonable thing for us to assume that we're talking about. Currents can disrupt the seasonal migration patterns of a wide variety of species. Well, choice D, though, kind of makes it seem like maybe that's not what we're talking about. Maybe it's the changes that are disrupting the seasonal migration patterns, and that also kind of makes some sense. I mean, this is kind of stupid, but it also could be that the oceanographers, which is also plural, maybe they're the ones disrupting the seasonal migration patterns. So it's kind of a weird way to think about it, but I guess it's possible. And this really gets to the problem here, is even though all of these things are plural, we still can't pick A because the problem isn't really singular or plural anymore. I mean, that's why we can't get rid of, we can get rid of B and C. They're the wrong thing, right? We definitely need a plural here, but we need to specify what the plural thing is because there are multiple options. So choice D is going to be our answer here, and I want you to remember this little twist to the pronoun rules that we can see on the SAT. This is what is known as an ambiguous pronoun, okay? Ambiguous means that something has multiple meanings, more than one interpretation, okay? So right here with the word they, in a very basic sense, it is grammatically correct because they is plural and it is clearly referring to something plural. However, we don't know what that plural thing is, and that's a problem. You're not allowed to use a pronoun if we don't know what it's replacing, if we don't know what it means. And so when the SAT asks about this specific little twist, the rule that you should follow is actually very straightforward. If they give you the option to specify what the pronoun is referring to, take that option, okay? You personally may not be confused by what they mean. You may have been thinking from the start it's really obvious that they're referring to the changes. But it's not really up to you, okay? So your brain is able to fix the error, but it is still an error here. What we need is for a pronoun to be very clear about what it is talking about. And if it is ambiguous, if it is unclear, that is a problem, and the SAT is going to give us a very specific way to fix it, which is to specify the thing. And that may mean removing a pronoun entirely. These is kind of still a pronoun, but the point remains, like, no matter what, if you see a specific noun here, I want you to pick it. It is probably going to be right because the SAT is testing this weird pronoun rule. It doesn't happen every test, but when it does, you don't want to go by the normal rules because then you'll pick something like A, especially because all the other answer choices are shorter. And there's another rule there, right? Our style rules tell us that shorter choices are better. So choice D violates the style rule, but it has to because the grammar rule takes precedence. Ambiguous pronouns are bad and need to be specified.